Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Now, today we are going to do a tough one,
Yeah.
but important one. We're going to be taking a look at the aftermath
Right.
of the fireworks explosion in Aliamanu.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to do that through some news articles
Heavy, yeah.
that we have here.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's tough to even talk about, but
It is. And I think,
yeah.
We should acknowledge right off the bat that, we're talking about a real tragedy here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Loss of life.
Yeah.
Injuries and people, having to deal with the
Right.
the damage and
Taking up the pieces.
the cleanup and all that stuff. It's pretty intense.
It is. And, looking at these news articles, I mean, the pictures alone are just devastating. You see the debris, you see the damage to the homes, and it's just...
Yeah, there's a lot of just piles and piles of just rubble and things like that.
Yeah.
That are just, completely...
Well, it's hard, unrecognizable.
To even imagine what it must have been like to be there when it happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the scope of the damage is just incredible.
But what strikes me is, we're talking about this, obviously this is a horrible tragedy, but what strikes me is the
spirit.
The resilience of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing to see how people are coming together to support each other.
It's fascinating to me because it's not just, empty words and empty gestures. It's people actually going out there forming these cleanup crews and organizing donations, and it's actually like putting action behind the thoughts and prayers, so to speak.
Exactly. And it really makes you think okay, so you have this initial outpouring of support, and that's amazing to see. But what about the long term?
Right.
How does this community rebuild not just their homes, but their lives?
Well, and that's where things, I think, get really complex.
Right.
Because, you can clean up the debris, you can rebuild the houses, but what about the emotional and psychological scars?
Yeah, that's
something that's going to linger for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these articles do mention that there are support groups forming, there are therapists offering their services, but it just makes you wonder, is it going to be enough? Right,
and I think it probably won't be enough, to be honest. Like the need is going to be so great that any amount of resources is probably going to be stretched pretty thin.
And one article mentioned that I thought was really interesting was that the community center is becoming kind of a central hub.
Right, a gathering place?
Yeah, for people to come together to share their stories, to access support services, and there's even talk of a memorial to honor those who were lost. Yeah, I think that communal aspect of it is so important to be able to come together and grieve and remember and share those stories.
Right. And I think that's a really important part of the healing process.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that, there's also this other aspect of this whole thing, which is, trying to prevent something like this from happening again.
Right.
Some of these articles mentioned investigations into the cause of the explosion. Was it negligence? Was it faulty fireworks?
Right.
Understanding what went wrong is crucial to making sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really, as we're talking about this, it really makes you think about the bigger picture.
Right.
Here, how do we as a society balance?
How do we enjoy fireworks but do it safely?
Exactly. How do we enjoy the joy of celebration but also be responsible for safety?
Absolutely.
And are there lessons that we can learn from this tragedy that can help prevent future tragedies?
Yeah, I think that's really the key takeaway for listeners is that, tragedies like this, they shake us to our core, but they also challenge us to think critically about our communities, about our values, about the systems that we have in place to protect each other.
Right.
And it's a difficult conversation to have, but it's a necessary one.
It is. And it reminds us that we're all interconnected in a way.
Absolutely.
That what impacts one community impacts us all.
Yeah.
And even in the darkest of times, the human spirit has this incredible capacity for resilience, for compassion, and ultimately for hope.
I completely agree.
So we've covered a lot today.
We have.
And it's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day, maybe take a moment to reflect on your own communities.
Yeah.
Think about how you support those around you.
That's a good point.
And how we can collectively work towards a world where celebrations bring joy and not sorrow.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.